My husband's sister-in-law ignores me even when I'm right next to my husband.
Ignore her.
Ooh, double ignore. How should I, 30 female, handle husband's brother's wife, 30 female, who only addresses my husband, 35 male? Let's say my 30 female husband's name is Mike, and Mike's brother's, 37 male, wife is named Rachel. By the way, this comes from user throwawayjelly53, and you can submit your stories at the r/OK storytime subreddit. So, I've always loved Rachel, but lately we've been spending more time with them since they moved closer to us, and something has been bothering me a lot. Rachel talks a lot, and she will only address my husband, ignoring me even though I'm also sitting right there. For example, if we are all together, Rachel will say, Mike, did I tell you about XYZ? Mike, I did this and blah, blah. Can't you believe that, Mike? Even though I'm also sitting right there. Rachel will only ask questions to Mike directly and never to me, even though I'm sitting right there. And I'm the only one who knows all the answer to those questions. Once Mike was on the phone and I was sitting with Mike. Rachel came up to us and said, Mike, can I ask you a question? Mike was on the phone, so I offered to help. Rachel said, no, I need Mike. When Mike got off the phone, then Rachel asked, Mike, can you tell me how to do X? And Mike didn't know, so Mike had to ask me to do it for him. This happens all the time. Even though I know most of the answers to all of her questions, she insists on asking Mike only and never asks me. I'm planning to just keep things cordial and minimize the time we spend with them in general. But we have a trip already booked with them coming up soon, and now I'm dreading it because of Rachel's behavior. My husband does not notice at all. In fact, Mike thinks Rachel's great. Mike compliments Rachel's cooking and other stuff a lot. He only thinks very highly of Rachel in general. How should I handle this? Should I bring it up to Mike and ask him to address it? I don't want Mike to think I'm insecure. I also don't want him to start realizing he loves the special attention from Rachel because it might not have hit him yet. Should I ask Rachel point blank next time she does it? Like, Rachel, why do you keep only addressing Mike even though I'm also sitting right here in front of everyone? Or is there a better way to put a stop to this disrespectful behavior? And we have some comments. Karate Dimension, I think you have 3 main problems. Rachel's being rude to you, your husband hasn't noticed it, and you're scared to talk to him about it. Your concern is that if you tell your husband, he will think you're insecure or realize he actually likes the special attention from another woman. Seems to speak to deeper issues in your marriage. Forget about Rachel for a second and ask yourself why your husband hasn't noticed her behavior and why you're scared that he wouldn't support you if you told him your feelings. Does he usually ignore or dismiss your feelings? If he does, then whether or not you tell him might not matter a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, if either way he won't be on your side. Honestly, the only way to permanently deal with someone like this is if you and your husband are on the same page and support each other. Ideally, you would tell him how you feel, he would hear your concerns and support you, and then he would refuse to give her attention when she's rude to you by saying things like, I don't know, but you should ask OP, or I'm busy right now, you'll have to ask someone else. And if that doesn't work, you would mutually agree to spend less or no time around her unless her behavior changes.
What an excellent comment.
What a very succinct.
Yes.
Little.
And I think that is excellent advice. I think OP seems pretty worried about her husband's reaction.
That is true. OP responds, my husband hasn't noticed Rachel's behavior because he's clueless and he knows she is mostly nice to me in general. I'm scared he wouldn't support me because he would genuinely think I'm overreacting since she is mostly nice. She's not malicious to me, and at times she is caring to me. That's why I myself get confused about what is going on with Rachel. Also, it's his brother and they're very close. Mike wouldn't be happy that I don't want us to spend time with his brother just because I think his wife is disrespectful. But thanks for explaining why I should get him on the same page as me first. You all convinced me I need to talk to my husband first before doing anything else. Maggie Moo 86 says, don't fall victim to the overreacting nonsense. You're simply reacting. I don't want to get into a whole thing here, but the overuse of overreact is designed to make people, generally women, doubt themselves and their legitimate observations and feelings. Update! We had the trip. It was just a short weekend trip, and there were other relatives of our husbands on the trip too. And before the trip, the context was I told Mike I was texting his female cousin about the trip. Then my husband Mike brought up himself that I should make sure to include Rachel, text her, etc., because she is newer to the family compared to me. I should make an effort for Rachel to not feel left out. When I questioned why he is telling me that, Mike said that since she's his brother's wife, it's important to him that Rachel and I have a good bond, since Mike is very close to his brother Steve. I did ask Mike if I did something to make him say that, but he said no. He just wants me to be close to Rachel since she is Steve's wife. I took that opportunity to tell him the times that Rachel excluded me and was not nice. Mike listened and said he never realized that was happening. I told Mike that I want him to step up to include me more, and he said he will. During the trip, when Rachel and I ended up alone, we talked nicely. Sometimes she even came up to me and initiated conversation. And sometimes I did. Edit. Then during the trip, there were some small, similar incidents of the same odd behavior where Rachel addresses only Mike to tell him a story, even though I'm also sitting right there, and the story was relevant to me too. It seemed like she was just excited to get any opportunity to talk to him and ignore me, as if I'm not there. I then started keeping my distance from Rachel after this incident. The four of us ordered food. There's a line to pick up the food. The four of us are standing together, waiting. We notice other people getting in line to pick up food. Rachel says, "Mike, can you go in the line to pick up our food?" a few times, as other people are getting in line and the line is growing. She asked Mike 2 or 3 times and kept moving closer to him. Mike was allowing others to come instead of pushing his way through. She came between Mike and me. Then I went next to Mike. Then all 4 of us went to the line together. Not sure why she kept insisting that Mike go. She could have asked her husband to go.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I was like, why is she asking Mike? Like, ask your own guy.
The vibes are so weird. They all weren't doing anything else. We ended up, all 4 of us, going together. I mostly just found it odd that she kept insisting Mike go, but not her own husband. Steve was just quiet as usual. Towards the end of the trip, we just kept distance from each other, and I admit that as the trip progressed, I resented her from her past actions and small similar incidents that she did on the trip, so I started trying to keep my distance from her and not go out of my way to engage with her. Even though she did it a little on the trip, since it was the 1,000th time, I just wanted to try keeping space. She ended up doing the same thing too. At the end of the trip, she just waved goodbye from afar when we were leaving. Unfortunately, the same problems of Rachel going to Mike and talking to only Mike in front of me came up a few times throughout the trip, and Mike never realized. In the moment, even I let it slide, but later when I thought about it, I realized how it was odd behavior. It didn't happen very often because there weren't many opportunities for Rachel to interact with Mike given the large group of relatives on the trip, but the problem is still not resolved. Rachel's still disrespectful and Mike does not realize when it's happening. Edit. After the trip, I was angry, so I told Mike that because Steve took care of Rachel to include her and Mike told me I need to include Rachel, then Mike should also include me. I complained to Mike about the times that Mike's brother took good care of Rachel and the times Mike did not do the same for me on the trip. Mike got defensive and also said it's because he knows I can take care of myself. I admit I didn't handle this situation the best with my husband because I just ended up complaining to him, which made him defend himself. At least he never tried to defend Rachel. I admit I didn't handle this correctly and I want to do better going forward. I won't be petty, but I'm seeking advice. Not sure when we will see them next. I regret that I stopped engaging with Rachel. I realize now I should have continued to be the usual nice and engaging person with her, but I'm fed up that after 2 years of being nice, nothing is changing. My original post still stands that I don't want this behavior from Rachel to continue. By the way, you can continue listening to full episodes with stories like this. All you have to do is go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast from and search OK Storytime. We do have a little bit of story left. I think we've already made it clear. Just confront Rachel. Why are we talking around her?
I just it seems like Mike's just doing nothing. Mike is just like, yeah, of course. Yeah. And now they're just kind of going in this circle. Just talk to Rachel. Get the whole gang involved. Enough of this hullabaloo.
Okay, well, let's finish this. Someone said I should mention here, we're American, but we come from a culture or religion where it's disrespectful for married women and men to befriend the opposite sex. I texted Rachel to apologize. I feel so much better now that she knows there's no ill feelings from me. Thanks to you guys for raising that to my attention that it seems I dislike her. I honestly like her and I wish we had a mutual good relationship. I just don't like the disrespectful instances. Embarrassed Advice 59 says, your last paragraph is wild. What did OP learn? Nothing, apparently. Haunting Aardvark 709 says, makes you wonder if the problem isn't Rachel after all. Dev 246 says, the problem is OP's jealousy. I complained to Mike about the times Mike and his brother took good care of Rachel and the times Mike did not do the same for me. The last paragraph would be funny if it wasn't so sad. Samsy15 says, OP, I say this as gently as possible, but please go get therapy. You need someone to unpack these situations with you and give you real-time feedback. You're being very unspecific in these comments, and no one can really know if Rachel is the problem or if you are. Maybe a therapist could help you understand what's actually going on, because I don't think even you know at this point. I think I'm just going to sum it up as this.
Yeah.
OP's probably not very confrontational.
Yeah.
OP not very
she was trying to go
comfortable.
through Mike, so it doesn't seem like she wants to have that one-on-one conversation with Rachel.
Not comfortable confrontation, misconstrued, misunderstood an interaction early on, and held on to that. You know, maybe because of like maybe she's got a little anxiety, the social anxiety.
Maybe
so it's
both
like an
Rachel and OP
thought.
have
She
social
can't
anxiety.
Stop thinking about it, and again, we came to the conclusion. You know what would have solved all of this?
Conversation.
Just two people yakking.
But that is the end of that
story.